Hi there, this is Aaron. Today is Saturday the 30th of April and it's day 8 of 2016 on the allotment. Well, today we're actually getting a little bit better weather. I know it's changeable and we are expecting storms later, but you've probably seen everybody else doing potatoes. Well, I've been holding off on potatoes up here because we really didn't have the weather for it. And this year I'm growing 4 varieties, and they are International Kidney, which is my favourite potato, and then Kestrel, which is a really nice potato that's it's a second early variety, but it's really good for baking. It's a good all-rounder. It's also a really good show variety as well. So it's got the taste, it's got the looks, and I'm hoping that it's going to do me proud this year. Next there is Nadine. And Nadine is a white potato. It's again very highly sought after for the show bench, and I'm going to try and see if I can grow some show potatoes this year for white potatoes. So there's a salad variety as well for our local show, and so I'm hoping that International Kidney, which are also Jersey Royals if you grow them on Jersey, then hopefully they're going to do me proud as well, because I think they are the ultimate salad potato. Then of course I have my main crop, and that is going to be Sarpo MIra. Well, if you're a YouTube gardener and you're growing potatoes, you've got to grow Sarpo MIra. I mean, you have no other choice. All of my potatoes this year were ordered from JBA seed potatoes, and the reason that I like ordering from JBA seed potatoes is because they allow you to set a date when you want them to be delivered. So I order them before Christmas, and then I just wait until I need them. And the earliest that I'm ever going to need them is the weekend of St. Patrick's Day, but so far it's always been cold then. The reason that I don't get them delivered until that point is because I don't chit my potatoes. I've looked at all the arguments for and against, and to me there just sounds like something a little bit odd going on, because farmers don't chit potatoes, and farmers are all about yields, and yields are money, and they're all about money. So if chitting actually did produce bigger potatoes or more potatoes, then farmers would do it, and they don't. So I'm thinking, you know what, I can just imagine sort of like an old gardener in Victorian times that would try and stop himself being laid off in the first part of the season when he couldn't really do anything, and he turns round to the Lord of the Manor and says, "Oh no, mister, you can't lay me off, I've got to chit the potatoes." And him going back and said, "Yes, I gave the Lord of the Manor a load of old chit." So I don't know if that's the way that it happened. I think it would be quite funny if it did, but anyway, I'm not going to chit potatoes. Now again, as a YouTube gardener, if you're growing potatoes, you're probably going to grow them in buckets. Now, these are not the mythical 30-litre buckets that everyone uses. These are actually 35-litre buckets. And the reason that I'm using these is that I'm hoping I can put a few more potatoes in. So for my second earlies, I'm going to put 4 of them in a 35-litre bucket. I'm going to put them in that 2 towards the bottom, and then fill it halfway up, and then 2 more on the diagonal, so it's a dice, and then fill it up. So I'm going to put 4 of them in for my second early varieties. So that's International Kidney, that is Kestrel, and that is Nadine. Then what I'm going to do is for my main crop, my Sarpo MIra, because these are a little bit bigger, I'm going to try and get 3 of the Sarpo MIra into each bucket. And I'm hoping that what that means is I'm going to have a bucket that's absolutely full of potatoes. So that's how I'm going to be growing them. I need now to have something to grow them in. And fortunately, our allotment has just the thing. Now, for those that have never seen this before, this is down one end of our allotment, and you see here, this is the new stuff, and this is horse manure. Now, this is pretty fresh horse manure. You can maybe see in the fields in the distance there are the horses. Now, there are stables in this plot, and the horses that are here produce this absolute mountain of muck that the grooms and the owners are just too happy to get rid of. Now, if we look up here, here's my wheelbarrow. I'm actually walking up a mound of ancient muck. And you can see in my barrow, it's now full of the blackest, most pitch gorgeous muck from out that hole. And that's the hole that I've been digging. Now, if we look, I'm actually on quite high ground here, but that ground used to be the same level as that field. And it's just been built up and built up and built up. Here's more that's composting down. It's mixed with straw, so it's absolutely perfect. And it's just there, ready for me to scoop up into the barrow. There is grass growing on top of the area that's well composted, but if you just lift the area of thatch, the grass thatch, and dig down a little bit, once you get down to a foot, it's absolutely gorgeous. And so that's what I'm doing. I have shifted, I think it's about 20 barrow loads for my buckets this year, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. It's teeming with life. So right, that is what I'm going to be growing my potatoes in this year. Right, I've got my buckets. I've got my ancient horse muck, which is now composted down to soil, and that really does look like good stuff. So now I'm all ready to get started. Now I've got this ancient horse manure, and I mean, it really is amazing stuff. As I say, I was talking to Chris, it's over a year ago now, and he said, well, you can plant straight in it. And Ian said last year when I had all that compost delivered, he said, well, if you've got this, why did you deal with that? Because this is free and it's probably amazing stuff. I mean, this is absolutely black as pitch. And yeah, I look at this and it's teeming with life. I mean, there are red wigglers galore, there's everything in here. So all the signs are that this is right. So what I'm going to do is plant my potatoes this year just using this, because it's all composted down. It's not going to burn anything. It's just really, really good soil now. So that's what we're going to try this year. Now, I have got fertiliser that I'm going to add to this, but this is really because I've got it and I may as well use it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a handful of chicken pellets. I've also got some hoof and horn here, and I need to use that. And finally, the thing that I'm going to add is this calcified seaweed that was the present from Peter. So thanks again for that, mate. And we're going to be adding that to the buckets. Now, the other thing that I'm going to add to some buckets, but not all, is mycorrhizal fungi. Everybody's been talking about mycorrhizal fungi. As far as many are concerned, you put the mycorrhizal fungi in on anything and then you go Expelliarmus and everything grows into a tree, whether it's meant to or not. So I went and started looking about mycorrhizal fungi. Now, mycorrhizal fungi has been around for about 500 million years. And it is a living organism. It's a fungus. And funguses are living things, and they actually eat, they consume things. And what mycorrhizal fungi does is it performs a symbiotic relationship with the roots, so that the roots grow bigger, they grow stronger, and they're capable of accepting more nutrients from the soil. So they start to really gobble everything up that is there. And water retention is improved in the soil when mycorrhizal fungi is there. Now, it doesn't work on everything. There are azaleas, there are rhododendrons, and as far as we're concerned, there are brassicas. And mycorrhizal fungi has no beneficial effect to any of those. Other species, so onions, potatoes, as we're doing now, will all benefit from mycorrhizal fungi. So that's why we're going to add mycorrhizal fungi to half of these. And then we're going to see what happens. Mycorrhizal fungi does appear naturally in soil, but it's very temperamental. And if soil is disturbed, if it's dug, and if it's turned over, all the things that we do on an allotment, then it will just pack up and leave. It won't be there. Now, mycorrhizal fungi was probably in this manure, but of course I've just dug it up, which means that the mycorrhizal fungi that was in there will now be thinking about going away permanently and finding somewhere else. So that's why I am going to add it. Everything else I'm adding, as I say, is purely because I have it and I may as well use it. What I'd like to get to is a situation whereby I've got my soil, which is going to be undisturbed, which is full of nutrients, so that I don't have to use external fertilisers. Now, I don't know if I'm going to get to that point eventually or soon or whenever, but ideally that's what I'd like to get to. But in the meantime, I've got the fertilisers, so I'm going to use them. So here are all my potatoes planted out, and in all of them what I've done is I've put 3 inches of horse muck into one of the buckets, and then I've put 2 potatoes in at west and east. Then I've filled it up, and another 2 potatoes at north and south, and then I've filled it to the top. But then what I've done is I've put about 2 inches, 3 inches of wood chip on the top. Now, I read up about this, and apparently what's going to happen is that the wood chip is going to make the actual manure, it's going to keep it moist, and it's going to protect it from the sun evaporating everything. So I've done that on all of them. I did actually test it out on the Sarpo Mira. Oh yeah, the Sarpo Mira, I've put 4 inches of manure in, and then I've sort of done a triangle, and then I filled that to the top, and then I've also put the wood chips in. The other thing is that the wood chips apparently just rise up, and so in every way this is supposed to be really good, but this is the first time I'm trying it, so this is a test. So what we've got at the back here, we have the international kidney, and there's 5 buckets of these. Then we have the Kestrel, and there's 6 buckets of these. Then we have the Nadine, and there's 7 buckets of those. And then we have the Sarpo Mira, and there's 8 buckets of those. You might also see just on the edge of the shot, I've got a row of the green bags that I used last year. Now, these are actually last year's bags that I never got around to emptying. But the potatoes had started to grow again. So they've been in since last year. Obviously, these are potatoes that grew last year and are now sprouting. So in theory, I suppose you could say that these are my earlies that were planted early on. Most of them are Duke of York, some of them are International Kidney, and I think there is one there that is Maris Bard, but I don't know which one's which. We'll have to see as they come along, but it looks as if I'll have plenty of potatoes this year. Now, the other thing is that I was actually really not looking forward to digging this ground, and it was really going to take a long time, and I'm behind with everything. But then Mark said to me, well, why don't you just put the buckets on the tarpaulin and then cut a hole in the tarpaulin, put the bucket through into the earth, and then just pile wood chips up on top of the tarpaulin. And that actually sounds like a really good idea to me. What it does mean is that I'm gonna, at the end of the year, I'm gonna have to pull the wood chips off, take the tarpaulin up, and then put them back again. But that will be in the closed season, so there'll be more time to do it. And right now, there's a lot of things that I should be doing. So I'm actually feeling quite good about this. And hopefully, we're gonna have some nice potatoes. So there we've got it for my potatoes for this year. I'm trying out quite a few new things and I'm combining different techniques together. I'm pretty sure that they're going to work. It's cost me an awful lot less this year than it did last year, and so I'm really keen to see how that horse muck actually works, and if it is as composted down as I think it is, to give me the really good yields that I want. So I suppose we'll see how all that turns out later on in the season. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you next time on The Allotment. Goodbye.